I blocked you. Even though I know you was gonna go to Atlanta, and I was like, I didn't want to know what you was doing out there. I told you I blocked.
Cardi just blew up the internet after going off on Offset, and this time, she didn't hold anything back. It all started when Offset ran his mouth on the Joe Budden podcast, mocking her and saying none of my exes went up. But what pushed Cardi to snap wasn't just the shade, it runs deeper, way deeper. The whole situation ties into the Super Bowl, Stefan Diggs, and Offset's own alleged side fling. The mockery that came next didn't just spark drama, it started an all-out war. This isn't your average celebrity spat. This is a straight-up cultural explosion that rocked the internet from the Super Bowl stage to every messy comment section on gossip blogs across the country. Offset, Kiari Condrell Cephas himself, went on the Joe Budden podcast looking calm, collected, and way too confident for a man with that many scandals under his belt. Then, with all the nerve in the world, he threw massive shade at every woman he's ever been with, especially the one who had his back through every mess, every headline, and every time his name hit the blogs for the wrong reasons, Cardi B. And when Cardi heard what he said, she didn't just reply. She didn't just clap back. She exploded like a bomb that had been ticking for 9 long years, ready to go off the moment he disrespected her one more time. Let's rewind for a second to January 2026. Offset walks into the Joe Budden podcast studio, rocking designer from head to toe, acting like a man who's rewritten his own history. The confidence, unmatched. The memory, selective. With that cool grin, he drops the line that set social media on fire. None that I left went up. Let that sink in.
I ain't never met none that I left went up, so I don't know how to explain.
The irony, wild. The hypocrisy, unbelievable. This is coming from a man whose cheating scandals were practically his brand. From the moment he got married, the receipts were everywhere. Cheating clips popped up in December 2017, barely 3 months after his secret wedding in September. The ink on that marriage certificate wasn't even dry before he was caught on video with other women. This is the same man whose name became a punchline for groupie stories, who sat in interviews admitting to infidelity, then tried to blame it on the lifestyle, like fame forced him to cheat on the woman carrying his baby. The same man who stormed Cardi's Rolling Loud set in 2018 with the giant "Take Me Back" sign of roses, begging for forgiveness in front of thousands, while the crowd didn't know whether to cheer or cringe. And now he's talking about how none of his exes went up? Please. The internet wasn't having it, and neither was Cardi B. And now this same man sitting comfy in a podcast chair had the nerve to tell the world that nobody he left went up. The sheer audacity wasn't just disrespectful, it was straight up embarrassing, historically, publicly, provably delusional. Because the woman he's trying to shade, she's a multi-platinum Grammy-winning superstar who just rocked the Super Bowl stage. Let that sink in for a second, but we'll get to that.
Not none of them. But you. I regret you. I'm too good for you. I always been too.
The minute that clip hit the internet, Cardi B lost it. She went live on Instagram, her personal battlefield, the same place she's made and broken careers. And this time, she wasn't holding anything back. The rage, the heartbreak, the years of pent-up pain, it all poured out like lava, unstoppable and scorching. You could feel every word coming from a woman who's been pushed to her limit. Here's the thing about Cardi. When she's hurt, she doesn't go quiet. She doesn't drop sneaky subs or cryptic tweets. She screams her truth loud enough for the world to hear. And that live, it showed everything about what this relationship really was. The good, the ugly, and all the pain in between. Cardi knew the truth. She always did. Every time Offset touched down in Atlanta, she knew there were women waiting on him. She blocked him not because she stopped caring, but because she cared too much. Knowing what he was doing behind her back was tearing her apart inside. She didn't want to see proof. She didn't want screenshots or DMs flooding her phone. She just wanted to hold on to what was left of her marriage without losing her mind. For years, through pregnancy, through postpartum struggles, through back-to-back public scandals, she tried to hold it together. She ate the humiliation in silence, smiled through pain, and even forgave him after she filed for divorce in 2020. Then again in 2023, after he accused her of cheating, on Instagram stories no less, before quickly deleting the post like it never happened. But the internet doesn't forget, and neither did she. Cardi clapped back instantly, calling him country, and fans went wild on X, racking up 10,000 likes. People were calling it karma, not just for Offset, but for both of them. And just like that, their messy love story got even messier. But all that blocking, all that silence, all those little self-protection moves Cardi used just to keep her peace, none of it stopped the disrespect from coming her way. Every time she tried to stay quiet, Offset found a new way to test her patience. And when he sat on that Joe Budden podcast, acting like he was the prize, like women should be grateful they ever had him, that was it. Cardi snapped. She jumped right back on Instagram Live, her digital battlefield, and dropped the line that had the entire internet losing it. I don't care, you lame, and them lames too. That was the knockout punch. No fancy words, no therapist talk, no sugarcoating. She didn't say toxic or narcissist, she said lame, because in Cardi's world, straight from the Bronx, from the streets, from the culture, calling a man lame is the ultimate insult. It's not just disrespect, it's dismissal. It's saying you ain't that guy. And the way she said it, with her whole chest, the internet couldn't get enough.
I don't care, you're lame. And them is lame.
When Cardi called him lame, that single word tore through every ounce of his ego. It stripped away the chains, the flexes, the podcast bravado, all of it. That word said, you're not important enough to hurt me anymore. It told him and every woman he ever entertained while he was supposed to be her husband, you're beneath me. And believe it, she meant every syllable with her whole chest. But Cardi wasn't done, not even close, because what Offset clearly didn't get, or maybe what he did get, and that's exactly why he was acting wild on national podcasts, was that Cardi had been sitting on a mountain of regret and resentment since day one. We're talking back to 2017, when the foundation of their relationship was already cracked. Back to the drama with Selena Powell's claims about Offset cheating that very first year. Back to Cardi's pregnancy with Culture, when leaked reports that resurfaced in 2026 claimed Offset allegedly left her alone during the birth of their first child. All that pain had been sitting there, buried under forgiveness and forced smiles, until that podcast shade made the whole dam finally burst. And what came out? It wasn't just rage, it was grief. Pure, raw, years in the making heartbreak. Cardi's voice shook when she said it, but her words hit like thunder. I regret you. 3 words heavy enough to crush an entire marriage. Words that carried every second chance she ever gave, every apology she ever accepted, and every time she tried to rebuild something already broken. Then she doubled down with, I'm too good for you. I always been too good for you. And the streets, they agreed completely. This was the same woman who filed for divorce in July 2024, citing irreconcilable differences. The same woman who gave birth to their daughter, Blossom, that September, while her marriage was crumbling in front of millions. She endured Offset popping into her lives, accusing her of being with someone else while pregnant. Cardi clapped back instantly with what fans now call one of her most iconic responses ever. That woman, the one who survived public humiliation, back-to-back scandals, and non-stop disrespect, earned the right to say she was too good. The stats don't lie. The accolades don't lie. The career trajectory screams success louder than any podcast shade ever could. Offset's attempt to rewrite history, it wasn't just wrong. It was embarrassingly, publicly, historically wrong. And guess what? That was only part one, because what came next, the Super Bowl, the whispers about Stefon Diggs, and one of the wildest twists in modern celebrity drama is where this story flipped from personal heartbreak to pure chaos. By the time February 2026 hit, Cardi had done the unthinkable, the thing every troll, every blogger, every so-called relationship expert swore she wouldn't do. She moved on. She left Offset in the past and didn't look back once. A brand new chapter began, one that had the entire internet buzzing. And at the center of it all, an NFL star, none other than wide receiver Stefon Diggs. By mid-2025, Stefon Diggs made it official. The NFL star publicly confirmed his relationship with Cardi B courtside at a Knicks game, and the crowd went wild. By September, Cardi announced she was pregnant with his child, and that November she welcomed a baby boy, named still a mystery to this day. The entire public narrative around Cardi flipped like a switch. The blogs called it the ultimate upgrade. X was on fire with posts like, "Cardi upgraded from rapper drama to NFL millions. That's a power move." Everywhere she went, she was glowing. The paparazzi couldn't get enough of her. Every shot showed peace, joy, and that unstoppable Cardi energy. In interviews, she sounded lighter, freer, and for the first time in years, genuinely happy. Then came the biggest milestone yet, performing at the Super Bowl halftime show alongside Bad Bunny. It finally looked like her life had turned a beautiful corner. Success, love, and stability all lined up perfectly.
Like to play games with me when I'm at my most vulnerable time, when I'm not the most confident.
But that's when the universe, or maybe karma, decided to step in with the cruelest, most ironic plot twist anyone has seen in modern celebrity history. The setting, Super Bowl LX, February 8th, 9th, 2026. The energy was electric, the cameras were flashing, and the world was watching. The game ended in disaster. The New England Patriots lost 29-13, and Stefon Diggs' team got completely blown out on the biggest stage in professional sports. Cardi crushed her halftime performance. Fans called it iconic, but after the show, she suddenly left the venue early, and that's when things got strange. The blogs lit up like fireworks, fan forums went wild, and social media exploded with one burning question: why did Cardi leave so fast? Then came the photo that shook the internet to its core. Sitting in the friends and family section, wearing a WAGS jacket and standing on the secure field access area, which only invited guests can enter, was a woman named Pri. But here's the jaw-dropper. Pri wasn't just some random attendee or distant acquaintance. Pri was Offset's alleged former mistress. Let that sink in. The same Offset Cardi left because he couldn't stop entertaining other women. Now his rumored ex-fling was spotted at the Stefon Diggs Super Bowl game. It was the kind of twist that felt almost scripted, a full-circle moment so messy, so poetic, that fans couldn't decide if it was fate, karma, or just pure chaos doing its thing. The internet didn't just buzz that night, it detonated. One of the very same women tied to the downfall of Cardi's marriage was right there at the Super Bowl, front and center. She wasn't just watching from the stands either. She was in the VIP section, rocking a WAGS jacket, personally invited by Cardi's brand new man. You couldn't make this up if you tried. Even Hollywood would toss this script out for being too wild to believe. And just when people thought it couldn't get any messier, Pri posted on social media during the game, writing "I love you" to Stefon Diggs, while Cardi was literally on stage performing for over 100 million viewers worldwide. The timing was brutal. The disrespect wasn't loud, it was sharp, surgical, and perfectly timed, like it was planned to hit right where it hurt most. Fans didn't waste 1 second before asking the real questions. Did Diggs know about the Offset connection? Did he know who this woman really was and what she represented to Cardi's entire story of heartbreak and betrayal? Or worse, did he invite her on purpose? The internet went into meltdown mode, dissecting every angle, every post, every screenshot. Nobody could believe how deep this twist went and how fast it all unraveled.
Knowing the full history, knowing the kind of pain that move would cause, knowing how deep it would cut, having that woman show up in Stefon Diggs' family section was the ultimate slap in the face. Because if the answer to any of those burning questions was yes, if Diggs knew who she was, what she meant, and still let her be there, then what happened at that Super Bowl wasn't just cheating. It was psychological warfare played out under the brightest lights in the world. Within hours of the final whistle, gossip blogger Tasha K dropped alleged receipts linking Diggs and Pri, and the timing made everything 10 times worse. Why? Because rumors had already been swirling for weeks that Diggs was getting ready to propose to Cardi. She was supposed to be walking away from that weekend with a ring, not a heartbreak. But instead of a diamond, she got one of the worst nights of her entire year. And as if that wasn't enough, more tea spilled fast. Diggs was also being accused of still messing around with his ex, Sky Marlene. The betrayal went from bad to brutal, stacking layers of drama so messy it almost felt scripted. It wasn't just cheating anymore, it was chaos in surround sound. That night, both Cardi and Diggs unfollowed each other on Instagram. the modern version of changing the locks and throwing someone's stuff out the window. A source close to the situation confirmed they'd broken up. The whispers of a possible reconciliation weren't completely off the table. Still, the damage was done and the internet went crazy. Social media erupted instantly. 50 Cent, never one to miss a messy moment, jumped right in with his trademark humor, trolling the situation by posting "Get away from me," a line that hit even harder since Cardi was already catching emotional punches from every direction. X was on fire. Posts were flying left and right. Cardi left Offset for cheating. Now Diggs is messing with Offset's side piece. This is madness. Fans couldn't believe it. Reddit threads exploded overnight, thousands of comments deep, with people arguing whether this was karma, coincidence, or some kind of twisted setup. Some users even joked it was too perfect, like the universe had a wicked sense of humor. The symmetry of it all was almost unreal. Think about it. Cardi left a cheater, started fresh, found love again, and got cheated on by the new man with the old cheater's woman. It was a full circle heartbreak that felt too poetic to be random. If a Hollywood writer pitched this story, every studio exec would laugh it out of the room. Too unrealistic. Audiences won't buy it. But real life? Real life wrote something no one could have scripted, and it had the whole world watching in shock. And yet, here we are, watching it all unfold live on Instagram, in real time, like a front row seat to a celebrity soap opera no one could look away from. Through all the chaos, through the Super Bowl meltdown, through every timeline explosion and gossip block update, one man stayed suspiciously quiet. Offset. Not a single post, not a single story, not even a sneaky subtweet. But don't get it twisted, silence doesn't always mean absence, because behind the scenes, the whispers started to spread. Insiders claimed Offset was still watching, maybe even orchestrating some of the mess. Allegedly, he was feeding info to gossip blogs, dropping little leaks at just the right moments to keep Cardi in the spotlight for the wrong reasons. Whether that's confirmed or not, the timing was just too perfect to ignore. Remember that January podcast moment? The one where he smugly said, "None that I left went up"? At first, it sounded like careless shade, but now, with everything that went down at the Super Bowl, that line looked more like a carefully planted grenade. He threw it on the Joe Budden podcast knowing exactly what was brewing behind the scenes. He knew the Super Bowl was coming. He knew about the pre-situation, and he knew those words would hit 1,000 times harder once Cardi's so-called upgrade started to crumble on the biggest stage in America. That's the kind of timing that doesn't feel accidental. It feels strategic, almost evil genius level. But here's what Offset and every man who's ever underestimated Belcalis Almanzar keeps getting wrong. Cardi B doesn't fold. She doesn't run and hide. She doesn't disappear into silence while the world points, laughs, and writes think pieces about her downfall. No, she comes back louder. When the world expects her to stay quiet, she grabs the mic and owns her story. She jumped right back on Instagram Live, her personal war zone, the same digital battlefield where she's always her rawest, her realest, and her most dangerous. This wasn't about clapping back anymore. This was about taking her power back. Cardi spoke directly about the manipulation, the games, and the heartbreaking pattern of men trying to exploit her weakest moments. Her voice cracked, but her message was clear. She's done letting anyone use her vulnerability as ammunition. Every time they think she's broken, she turns the pain into fire, and this time, that fire burned hotter than ever before. That right there, that's the raw truth. No filters, no PR spin, no carefully crafted image. That wasn't a performance for cameras or a stunt for sympathy. That was a woman speaking straight from pain, experience, and hard-earned wisdom. Cardi wasn't trying to sell a story. She was telling it exactly how it happened. No sugarcoating, no script, just real emotion from someone who's lived through the same betrayal too many times. Offset played his games when she was pregnant, when she was postpartum, when she was at her lowest, fighting to hold together a marriage he was busy tearing apart from the inside. He carried the weight of love, loyalty, and embarrassment all at once while he was out making headlines for the wrong reasons. And now, after the Super Bowl heartbreak, Cardi's seeing it happen all over again. Same betrayal, same manipulation, just a new man in a different jersey. She's connecting the dots in real time and realizing that the cycle she thought she'd escaped might have just repeated itself on the biggest stage in the world.
They always wait for the low point, that exact moment when you're already doubting yourself, questioning your worth, second-guessing your own strength. That's when they move. They strike when you're tired, drained, and too hurt to swing back with full force. It's a playbook older than heartbreak itself, and Cardi knows it all too well. Then came the line that cut through everything. He knows I'm not an easy girl. Those words carry weight. That wasn't just about pride, that was layered truth. It means he knows she's not the type to stay quiet, not the type to take disrespect and just move on like nothing happened. He knows when Cardi fights back, she does it publicly, loudly, and with impact. And that's exactly why he picks his moment. He waits for those cracks in her armor, those brief windows where her strength wavers just enough for his games to hit harder. Because most of the time, Cardi's unstoppable, her confidence is unshakable, her words cut deep, and her platform is massive, too powerful for anyone to outplay her when she's standing tall. So he waits, calmly, strategically, watching for that opening, the one moment when he can twist the knife just right. And that cold, deliberate, emotional timing, that's what makes this whole situation go from messy gossip to something dark, something sinister. The war isn't just about words anymore. It's about threats, receipts, and psychological warfare that refuses to end. Now here's where the story takes a dangerous turn. No more petty social media unfollows or shady podcast comments. We're talking about real-world consequences, actual legal heat, and behavior that crossed every line. Because by late 2025 and early 2026, Offset's actions weren't just about clout or attention. They started getting serious. According to Selena Powell, the self-proclaimed industry insider who's made a career out of exposing hip-hop's dirtiest secrets, sometimes with verified receipts and sometimes with stories people take with a grain of salt, Offset went completely off the deep end. Even folks who thought they'd already seen the worst of him were shocked. Selena claimed that behind the scenes, Offset's behavior became erratic and extreme, blurring the line between drama and danger. And while some questioned her credibility, the whispers were loud, loud enough to make fans wonder if this was no longer just about heartbreak and betrayal, but about something far darker brewing underneath it all. Selena Powell dropped a bomb that left the entire internet stunned. She leaked an alleged FaceTime video showing Offset making direct, explicit, violent threats against Stefon Diggs. Yes, you heard that right. In the clip, Offset allegedly threatened to shoot Diggs in the knee, strip him, and rob him. Let that sink in. That's not shade, that's not wordplay, that's not some coded lyric buried in a rap verse lawyers can spin later. That's a straight-up, on-camera, violent threat against a professional NFL athlete. The video spread like wildfire, reposted, screenshotted, and dissected by millions. Within hours, X was in meltdown mode. One viral post racked up over 9,000 likes, calling Offset unhinged and dangerously obsessed. Another said flat out, Offset threatening murder? That's jail time. The tone was unanimous. The public wasn't treating this like gossip anymore. This was criminal behavior. Reddit threads lit up instantly, echoing the same message. This is turning criminal. Offset's secrets are spilling everywhere. Somebody needs to step in before it goes too far. And yet, as of this recording, no lawsuits, no restraining orders, and no official legal action have been made public. Still, insiders continue to whisper that if Diggs or his team ever decide to take it to court, Offset could be facing serious legal consequences. But Powell wasn't done stirring the pot. Alongside those alleged threats, she also claimed that in the same FaceTime calls, Offset confessed to abandoning Cardi during Culture's birth. If that's even partially true, it adds a devastating layer of cruelty to his infamous "None that I left went up" line from the Joe Budden podcast. Just think about that for a second. The sheer audacity. The man who allegedly wasn't there when his first daughter with Cardi came into the world. The man who supposedly left his wife alone during one of the most painful, powerful, and vulnerable moments of her life is now out here acting like he's the prize, like the women who loved him should be mourning him. The math ain't mathing, not even close. And if that wasn't chaotic enough, the situation somehow got even messier. Because next came the paternity drama that sent the internet into overdrive.
In November 2025, Offset deleted a wild Instagram post where he publicly claimed that Cardi's new baby, her son with Stefan Diggs, was actually his. Let that register. He tried to claim another man's child on social media. The internet froze for a second, like everyone needed to double-check that it was real. Cardi wasted no time firing back. She blasted him publicly, calling his behavior harassment. And honestly, she was right to. The claim had zero proof, and everyone knew it. Even his own fans couldn't defend that one. The post was desperate, delusional, and transparent, a clear attempt to drag Cardi's name back into his orbit when she'd already moved on. It was like every move Offset made just dug the hole deeper, from public threats to personal lies, turning what could have been a quiet split into one of the most shocking celebrity breakdowns the internet had ever seen.
Offset wasn't just stirring drama, he was trying to destabilize Cardi's new family. He cast doubt on Diggs' role as a father, injected chaos into their relationship, and kept himself glued to the spotlight no matter what the cost. Then came another twist. Powell leaked that Diggs couldn't even sign the baby's birth certificate because Cardi was still legally married to Offset, a hidden legal mess from their unfinished divorce that no one saw coming. But in hindsight, everyone should have. Through the threats, the paternity stunts, and the strategic leaks, Cardi finally hit back where it hurt most, his ego. On Instagram Live, she called him out for years of disrespect, for acting brand new off his solo fame while treating the mother of his kids like she didn't matter. Then in another live, she went deeper, exposing how Offset allegedly FaceTimed her just to parade other women in front of her face, trying to make her jealous even after she'd moved on. That's not romance, that's control. That's textbook emotional manipulation, the behavior of a man who can't stand that his ex moved on, found peace, and built a life that no longer revolves around him. Those calls weren't about showing off, they were about power, about reminding Cardi that no matter how far she rises, he still wants to be the shadow in her spotlight. Offset's actions showed one clear pattern: he still wanted control. Every move he made, from the threats against Diggs to the fake paternity claims and strategic leaks, felt like an attempt to remind Cardi that he could still reach into her life and twist the knife. It wasn't about love anymore, it was about power, obsession, and making sure she never fully escaped his emotional orbit. At this point, fans across every platform weren't calling it celebrity drama anymore. They were calling it unhinged. The entire conversation shifted. It stopped being about who cheated or who was right and wrong. Now, people were asking the real question: is Cardi safe? So where did that leave her in February 2026? Post-Super Bowl, post-breakdown, post-mess. Cardi did what only Cardi would do. She chose herself. She went out and bought a $500,000 Audemars Piguet watch, calling it her form of self-care. $500,000 on her wrist, shining like armor, a statement to the world that if men won't treat her right, she'll treat herself like the queen she already knows she is. Her ex called it queen moves. Trolls said otherwise, but no matter what anyone thought, the message was loud and clear. Cardi's done waiting for validation. She's building her peace, her success, and her strength on her own terms now. Rumors swirled that she reached out to Offset to discuss co-parenting, but one thing's certain: this time, she's in control. Rumors were flying from every corner. One astrologer even predicted a reunion between Cardi and Offset, while a viral AI-generated video falsely showed Cardi regretting having Diggs' baby. The internet noise was deafening. Everyone had an opinion, every post had a theory, and every troll had something to say. But through all the chaos, Cardi's message stayed clear and solid. On a podcast, she opened up honestly. "I regret a lot. I was hurt every day," she said, reflecting on her time with Offset. But then she made it clear, she's done letting that pain control her life, done letting heartbreak shape her future. From here on, her focus is simple: her kids, her music, and her money, period. And when you step back and look at the bigger picture, this whole saga isn't just messy celebrity gossip, it's a reflection of something much deeper. It's about toxic masculinity, emotional manipulation, and the endless loop of forgiveness turning into fresh pain. It's about what happens when love gets put on display for the entire world to dissect in real time. Offset's journey, from cheating husband to angry ex throwing shade on podcasts, shows what happens when a man's ego refuses to take the loss with dignity.
Meanwhile, Cardi's evolution from loyal wife to empowered single mother, rebuilding her peace, represents the raw human struggle of trying to love and heal under the spotlight. It's messy, it's emotional, it's real, and whether people root for her or not, one thing's undeniable. Cardi's not just surviving it anymore, she's rewriting the narrative her own way. And that wild pre-twist at the Super Bowl, that was the universe reminding everyone that the saga between Cardi B and Offset isn't some story with a neat, clean ending. It's a cycle, a loop that just keeps spinning no matter how many times we think it's finally over. Right now, Cardi seems locked in on self-care, her music, and her empire. But let's be real, with Offset's unpredictable behavior, the unfinished divorce still dragging on, custody questions hanging in the air, and that whole Stefan Diggs situation stuck in messy limbo, this story is far from done. The only question left is what comes next, because if there's one thing history has proven about Cardi and Offset, it's that the next explosion is never more than one Instagram live away. The internet might cool down for a second, but when it comes to these two, silence never lasts long. If you made it this far, hit that like button, subscribe, and share this video with someone who's been following the Cardi Offset chaos since day one. Trust me, you won't want to miss what comes next, because this story, it's nowhere near finished.